Suing the state of Iowa involves jumping through a lot of hoops. There is a very specific procedure that the state requires you to go through in order to even have the right to sue them.
It's a daunting prospect trying to sue a state as a regular working person. When you have somebody on your side that's willing to do it and do it without being an ambulance chaser, being an ethical, skilled litigator, I can't stress how easy it was to let them do what they do.
Frank was a sound engineer. It was his job to make sure that the music that the people heard in the back row of the arena was of the same quality that you heard when you were in the front row. And that involved climbing ladders and stairs and walking. The person who was driving the forklift hit Frank.
The accident was life-changing. I was on the verge of losing my career over my physical inability to go back to work. Tim recognized that and made it a part of the case going forward.
Frank suffered a horrible fracture of his ankle that involved the joint. So he reached out to a lawyer that he knew on the East Coast. That lawyer looked at the case, realized that it was going to have to be filed in Iowa, and that's ultimately how Frank was sent to me. We were able to request a lot of the investigation materials through Freedom of Information Act requests because it happened on state of Iowa premises, dealing with an injured person who was not from Iowa. We had real concerns that the jury may hold it against Frank that this out-of-state person is trying to get their tax dollars. And so that led to a very long conversation during jury selection with the jurors about what was right and appropriate in that kind of a situation. And thankfully, we were able to find a box full of jurors who realized that Frank should not be penalized because it was a state of Iowa employee who hurt him.
When I finally got to Iowa to meet them for the first time, I realized it's not just one person. There's a team of people working on the case. It's an impressive pool of talent. They're all in the same room. And I imagine that would be a frightening prospect for somebody sitting on the other side of the table.
In Iowa, we have sealed verdicts, which means that the jury gives the verdict to the judge, and then the judge calls the party. They deliberated for over a day. So after the trial was done, we drove Frank to the airport and he was flying back home. When we ultimately got the call from the judge, we learned that the jury had given us every penny that we had asked for at trial. That was a fun call to make to Frank. And I still remember Frank's response. There was a pause. He couldn't believe it. We were able to negotiate a situation where workers' comp reduced their lien that accounted for the attorney's fees that Frank had to pay in exchange for Frank agreeing to dismiss his work comp case, which is a win-win because in Iowa, workers' compensation companies get to choose who your doctors are, and that can be a hassle in its own right. And so we were able to settle the work comp case and use that extra money so that he'll never have to go get approval from an insurance company to get the care he needs. That money gives Frank peace of mind because rather than worrying every day, is my ankle gonna hold up? When I need that ankle surgery, am I going to have health insurance that's going to cover it? He now knows that he's got that money. It's in a safe investment so that paying those medical bills or missing out on those paychecks is not going to impact his family's quality of life at all.
It's really undefinable until you see in action how good they actually are at what they do. If you need representation in the state of Iowa, like I did, you can't do any better. It's really that simple.